So the Integrity Commission have appointed Renee Lawrence as its acting director of corruption prosecution, and the leaders in the parliament on the government side have taken issue with that appointment. They've written to the new chairman of the Integrity Commission, Carol Lawrence Beswick, to say that something is wrong with that, given the declared friendship between Renee Lawrence and the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, especially considering Dr. Campbell's trenchant posture against the Prime Minister where matters concerning the Integrity Commission are concerned. This evening, we wade through the issues at play and see, well, what should the IC do, if anything at all, with a senior member of the JLP's Communications Task Force, Marlon Morgan, and a senior member of the PNP's Communications team, Raymond Price. Of course, he is the caretaker in East Central St. Catherine. Lead story should be nice with these two, you know. It starts now. Welcome to Lead Story on this Tuesday evening. It's Tuesday, April 15. We have Lead Story Prime coming up later on this evening, the town hall meeting that we did at the UTEC's Papine campus on Monday. Good stuff in the offing. But this evening, though, it's all about the Integrity Commission and the man sitting in the chair of Corruption Prosecution Director. Yeah, Renee Lawrence. Dayton Campbell posted a message on social media saying that, look, you know, this gentleman is an honorable man. He and I have been friends for over 20 years. And the governing JLP, the leaders in the parliament, leader of government business in the House, leader of government business in the Senate, have written a letter to the IC's chairman taking issue with the appointment, saying that, you know, the public can't be sure that there'll be no bias in what Mr. Lawrence does, given the relationship between himself and Dr. Campbell and Dr. Campbell's comments about the Prime Minister and the Integrity Commission. In case you came in late, this is the issue at play.
Jamaica Labour Party leaders Edmund Bartlett and Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith have formally expressed concerns to the Integrity Commission regarding the recent appointment of Renee Lawrence as acting director of corruption prosecution. Their objection centers on Lawrence's reported association with People's National Party General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell, as the two share a friendship, raising questions about potential conflicts of interest. Bartlett, who serves as leader of government business in the House of Representatives, and Senator Johnson-Smith, leader of government business in the Senate, said they're not questioning Lawrence's qualifications, but any decision he makes involving people in the political circle is bound to raise some eyebrows. Newly appointed IC Chairman Justice Carol Lawrence Beswick issued a response on Monday, stating that she's open to addressing the concerns of the government leaders as far as the IC Act permits. Meanwhile, the opposition issued its own statement. PNP Chairman Dr. Angela Brownberg accused the JLP of playing victim and political hypocrisy. The JLP responded by calling the PNP hypocrites. The IC chairman, however, maintains that actions of the IC which cause concern will receive urgent attention from the Commission, provided that it is given cogent and unequivocal information on which it can rely. We discuss on Lead Story. Courtney Lewis for Lead Story.
Break time. Back with my guests after these.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. We've got everything, stocking top brands like CNCs, Philips, and Allen Bradley. We guarantee quality and reliability. Shop with us and save with even free island-wide delivery. Conditions apply. Visit us at Shop 8 Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in electrical business.
There's nothing like having a conversation involving two friends across the political divide where there is strong respect and a sharp intellect. Usually makes for good TV, and I'm in the role of just a simple referee this evening when Raymond Price, representing the People's National Party, and Marlon Morgan, representing the JLP, when they come together. That's precisely the situation. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
Good evening, George. Good evening, Raymond. You forgot to mention Craighead natives in the lead-in just now.
Oh, yes. All right, then Craighead natives. There you go.
Marlon, I always told them that Craighead will one day run Jamaica, but they never listened.
There you go. Word to the wise.
There you go. All right, gentlemen. So here we go. Raymond, you'll open the floor because the government, through its leaders in both houses of Parliament, have written to Carol Lawrence Beswick to raise serious concern, using the words that they use, about the appointment of Ronnie Florence and the declared friendship between himself and Dr. Dayton Campbell. The PNP have said nothing to see here.
Well, the interesting thing is that you say the declared friendship. In other words, there is nothing hidden or no attempt so to do. I focused immediately on the response from the Integrity Commission over the signature of the new chairman of the Integrity Commission. And what I liked about it is that it itemized the more stringent areas of the concerns by the leaders in both houses on the government side, and responded not only to make clear that without substantial evidence, the interrogations they ask can't be done, but citing specific sections and subsections of the Integrity Commission Act. The whole thing is of concern because in a second release, the leaders of the government side in the upper and lower house indicated that this is a quasi-judicial position and justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. And the fact that it's a quasi-judicial role, parliamentarians don't usually venture into the third and the most important and independent arm of government, being the judiciary. There is a Public Services Commission. There are other layers that protect and safeguard the honor and integrity of institutions and individuals that people these institutions. So I think that the approach is unusual. Certainly in my research on the topic, it has never been done, certainly not since the late 70s, early 80s, which is a period in Jamaica's political history that we don't look back on with too much fondness in terms of how people practice politics.
But just clarify, never been done or not done since the late 70s, 80s?
Never been done. What used to happen in the late 70s and 80s, that something would be said on a political platform to create innuendo. What we have in a modern Jamaican society with the Judicial Services Commission, the Police Services Commission, and similar bodies like that, shows a tried and tested way to identify talent, to vet talent, and to appoint qualified persons to positions. What is good is that nothing has come from the government side to suggest that the individual is not qualified.
And they made that point to say that they're not questioning the professional qualifications of the gentleman.
So then I ask a question, George, in terms of degrees of separation.
Yes.
Are there concerns about nepotism and corruption and anything that could appear that way? Yes, there are. But what are the degrees of separation?
Yeah.
When you have persons such as yourself, highly qualified, highly sought in both private and public sector because of your competence, you would have gone to school with people. Are we saying that in Jamaica now, when you show up for a job, you should say, when I attended St. George's College, these other 1,000 individuals attended with me. When I went to the University of the West Indies and I lived on Chancellor Hall, these other 300 individuals lived on Chancellor Hall when I was there. And what of other fraternal groupings, professional associations? I think what we should focus on is the conduct of people in their positions. And when there is something tangible, something provable,
then we raise the red flag.
You raise the red
Marlon
flag.
Morgan, your response, sir.
All right, so the Integrity Commission is one of those organizations that we can consider as being one of the guardians of our democracy. It's in its infancy to the extent that it was established by legislation in 2017, came into operations essentially sometime in 2018, thereabout. So it's in its infancy. This entity, a Commission of Parliament, among other things, has a mandate to receive and certify statutory declarations and, of course, ferret out corruption to the extent that its investigative work points to that. Now, the change between the then Office of the Contractor General and the Integrity Commission as it exists now is prosecutorial powers, and so the Director of Corruption Prosecution at the IC is a very consequential office holder. That person's job and function is of considerable moment. As the JLP parliamentary leaders said in their correspondence to the chairman of the Integrity Commission, retired Justice Carol Lawrence Beswick, we make no assertion, we do not impugn the professional qualifications of the good gentleman, Ranif Lawrence. However, having regard to a post that has come to our attention on Instagram, or at least one of the social media platforms, I think it was Instagram, where Dayton Campbell spoke to the vintage of the relationship between him and this gentleman, Ranif Lawrence. The question is, we are mindful that Dayton Campbell is no ordinary user of social media here in Jamaica. He is no less a person than the PNP's Chief Executive Officer. He is the General Secretary of the PNP. He has a certain agenda, and of course, he is a person who is among our primary adversaries in the body politic. And so the point being made is that decisions that may be taken or not taken by Mr. Ranif Lawrence will come under a particular cloud of suspicion going forward, and that is a situation that is untenable, because what we want is a fit-for-purpose Integrity Commission and an Integrity Commission that can, of course, win and sustain the trust and confidence of the Jamaican people. That is the fundamental point being made of the JLP, because as a parliamentarian myself, I will be under an obligation to make declarations to the IC, and I would not want to think that there is anything operating on the mind of any functionary or officer at the Integrity Commission, such as Ranif Lawrence, because as I said, I said it elsewhere in media, successful prosecution is one thing. But if the gentleman takes a decision to charge a particular parliamentarian, or indeed any other public official in government or public servant at a ministry, for example, that is of considerable moment. And that is why Julian Robinson, speaking in August of 2024, said what he said. Julian Robinson essentially telegraphed to the nation that on Parliament's resumption in September, a report will come and comrades should get ready for elections. Why would Julian have said those things? What would have caused him to have said those things? It would appear, and there are members of the public who are of this opinion, that they may have been privy to what was coming down the pipeline, and importantly, the very timing of the report. What would have caused Julian Robinson to be seized that on the resumption of Parliament in September, the report was going to come quick o'clock? The truth of the matter is that, contrary to what Julian alleges, the annual report of the IC did not suggest any degree of imminence in relation to the submission of its report to Parliament. The Integrity Commission, as we know, does not operate in that way, George.
So Senator, are you saying, as we go to the break, are you saying then that given that what Julian Robinson has said and what Dr. Campbell would have said before, it is the JLP's view that someone with access to sensitive information has been leaking same to officials in the PNP, is what you're saying?
Excellent question, George, because what the JLP is saying in no uncertain terms is that that cannot be ruled out. And that is what is undesirable in the grand scheme of things, because members of the public looking on, people in Craighead, Manchester, a space that Raymond and I are very familiar with, will feel that they may have been tipped off because Dayton Campbell, when he spoke with Cliff Hughes and Ricardo Brooks on Monday the 9th of September, Cliff Hughes essentially made mention of Andrew Holness's parents' bank accounts. And Dayton Campbell made the point that if Cliff Hughes and Ricardo Brooks thinks that this matter of the report by the IC is only about Andrew Holness's parents' bank accounts, they essentially are misled and have an excuse coming. Because Dayton Campbell spoke in a way that suggests that he was seized of other elements in that report.
Hear you on that, Marlon. Raymond will respond after this break.
Every child deserves a home filled with love. When hope meets heart, a new journey begins.
Welcome home, David.
Welcome, David. Make it your own.
Family is built on moments shared.
Go, David, yes!
Every smile and every shared moment connects us with a brighter future. Here, you're not just welcomed, you're family. Foster hope, foster love, foster a child today. Contact the CPFSA for more information.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central. As of Tuesday, April 15, Fan Central will be moving to 9 p.m.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on CVM TV. I have with me Raymond Price and Senator Marlon Morgan. So we're talking about the Integrity Commission and that appointment of Renif Lawrence as acting Director of Corruption Prosecution. He replaces, he's holding down the job that was held previously by Keisha Prince Kamika, whose contract was not renewed. In an exchange of letters, the JLP leaders in the Parliament, both in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, have written to the Chairman of the Integrity Commission, retired Justice Carol Lawrence Bereswick, to say that we have serious concerns about Mr. Lawrence's position given the declared friendship between himself and the PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Raymond Price, what I hear from Marlon Morgan essentially is that it's not that they're saying that Renif Lawrence will leak information or pass on sensitive information to Dr. Campbell or even do something favorable to Dr. Campbell. It's the fact that they don't have the confidence that he won't.
And the Jamaica Labour Party's lack of confidence in the institution of the Integrity Commission predates this particular issue. First, there was a gag. I'm happy to see that the gag has been lifted. So perhaps in the exchange of communications, we might finally hear from an Ed Bartlett or a Kamina Johnson-Smith their own opinions as to the other yet unnamed featured parliamentarians on the government's bench that is under the microscope of the Integrity Commission. The fact that we don't yet know, the fact that when Mr. Holness says that he was canvassing members of his government in both houses and none of them knew they were under investigation, the fact that it ultimately came out that it was he himself that was under investigation and may therefore not have asked himself, do you know you're under investigation, confirms that the leaks that Marlon fears don't exist because nobody in the PNP knew before a particular media house reported aspects of the report that the Prime Minister was the subject of any direct investigation. There is another famous quote: dragons in dark caves are far more fearsome than when they're viewed in the daylight. I'll invite Marlon and the rest of the JLP to come out of that dark cave where they fear dragons of their own mental creation. These layered innuendos that if somebody said something on the 7th of August with such confidence that it could only have been, no, but may have been, and then to say, we're not saying the leaks came, but people in the public may be of the view that the leaks came, is not credible to besmirch the reputation of either an individual or an entire institution.
Your response, Marlon Morgan.
Just to be very clear, George, the truth of the matter is that the maxim in any jurisprudence, certainly in a democratic society, has to have a premium placed on it. And that maxim is justice must not only be done, but must be seen and manifestly appear to be done. So the JLP has no definitive or has no evidence of any leak having ensued from the IC to any member of the PNP. That's not the case we're making. And I do not appreciate an attempt to drag that kind of red herring across the trail and argue something that is not being argued, contested, or debated. The simple point we're making is that the Integrity Commission is staffed by persons who will have adjudication and, of course, decision-making functions to discharge at various points in time. The Director of Investigations, for example, he undertakes investigations and he will make the recommendations to the Director of Corruption Prosecution from time to time. And what we want to be assured of is that there is nothing else, George and Raymond, operating on the mind of the Director of Corruption Prosecution, whether the person is a confirmed office holder or an acting office holder.
Let me ask one question. I've let the conversation flow, Senator, but let me ask you one thing. Is it the JLP's fear that whereas a normal member of parliament or a normal parliamentarian, let's spread it across the Senate and the House, that a normal parliamentarian will be recommended for a charge by the Director of Investigations. That charge, that recommendation rather, will be accepted by the Director of Corruption Prosecution. That's what happens to a normal parliamentarian. But if the Prime Minister, for example, is recommended for a charge and that recommendation is accepted by the Director of Corruption Prosecution, the government essentially falls because the Prime Minister can't stay with a charge over his head, presiding over the House and the affairs of the country in the way that a regular parliamentarian can perhaps occupy their seat while they are fighting the Integrity Commission. Is that the JLP's fear?
George, the concern is much broader than that because the Integrity Commission not only has jurisdiction over parliamentarians, but other public servants in the service of the government and people.
So you accept that that is a part of it, but it's broader than that. All right, I'll take that. So Raymond, can you not understand? Hold on, Senator. But Raymond, can you not understand the implications of someone being the friend of an individual who has a known political agenda? Because Dr. Campbell's raison d'etre, and it has to be, is to get the PNP in office at all cost. And he'll say, well, of course, the ethical ways and within the law and everything. But his mission is to get the PNP in power. Can you not see the danger in someone being in such a sensitive position as to, with one swoop of the pen, cause something to hold against the Prime Minister in the form of a charge, and the relationship between himself and a man whose mission it is to get the JLP out of power? Can you not see why that would be problematic?
If I should labor myself into thinking in abstraction, which I won't.
Yes.
Say three things quickly.
Yeah.
You know when police call your name? Behave yourself. You don't want Integrity Commission to perhaps want to prosecute a matter to do with you as a subject. As a former and incoming parliamentarian, that concerns my mind. Do you know how I avoid it? Keep my fingers free from stickiness. Declare the information in a manner that the Integrity Commission under law may certify, which has not happened, irrespective of who holds which positions. The Prime Minister has made it clear, and Senator Morgan elsewhere has made it clear, on a program that you hosted with he and I on, that the Prime Minister, like any other Jamaican, has the route through the courts to have the court ventilate and interrogate an issue. And that seemed to have worked. It has always been working. My concern here, in the instant matter, is that the Jamaica Labour Party may have found a scheme to pull a red herring across all of our trails to further cause public trust in the Integrity Commission to erode,
Marlon,
to cover their tracks.
20 seconds to go, Marlon. Last word to you.
But I just want to respond to something Raymond said a while.
In 20 seconds, Senator. You can do anything you want in 20 seconds.
Suggesting that the commissions or omissions of a person may cause them to be in the bad books of the Integrity Commission. And what we saw in a recent
But that's
case,
why the Integrity Commission exists.
having to do with a construction up in Beverly Hills, is that though there's a particular antecedent, that construction is in relation to a property not owned by Andrones, yet he became the subject of that investigation and indeed the report of the IC. So it goes to show that there may be other things, other agendas at play that would cause someone to be situated in a report in an adverse way, when in truth and in fact, no commission of theirs would have properly caused that to be the case. And just 5 seconds, George. The cartel appeal turned on a particular fundamental thing. The Privy Council essentially held that some things may have been operating on the minds of the jurors in that 2014 trial that would have caused them to perhaps overcompensate. That was the basis on which Vybz Kartel was acquitted. Let us not forget that. So the point is, things operating on the minds of decision makers have to be considered as being a
quick rejoinder. The senator might have appeared more believable if there was not documented history of an adversarial relationship between the Jamaica Labour Party and Integrity.
Hear you on that. Thank you, gentlemen.
Not the Integrity Commission, an adversarial relationship between the Jamaica Labour Party and Integrity.
Hear you on that. Hear you on that, Raymond Price. Senator Marlon Morgan, Raymond Price, thank you very much. Always good with you two gentlemen. That's Lead Story. Lead Story Prime. Don't forget, at 8 this evening.
Rise with Mighty. We'll drop a little Jesus in your ship with Carey Sales in Wednesday service. Then we'll hop into some good vibes for Easter with a movie night. We'll pause to honor the great Monair Sonny T. Zaka. And we'll wrap things up with Wags brought to you by True Pet. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations.